All right, what is going on, everybody? We're excited for what we got going on today. On the line, we got Luke Francis, a close friend of ours. He has done a lot of work with our Inner China program, the program for anyone that's looking to build an explosive physical product business. He's actually just launched his own Indiegogo campaign, and we are excited to really dig in the nitty gritty of how he got to where he is, how he's been growing so quickly in his campaign, and really share all the details of what got him from the beginning to exactly where he is right now, which is where a lot of our viewers and listeners want to be themselves. Luke, how you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. You got a lot of knowledge to share with everyone that's going to be watching this video, so let's dive into it.
Sure.
Going way back to when you were just getting started, when you had no business, you just had an idea. From that initial point, what was the biggest roadblock to start living kind of this business dream that you're going through right now?
Yeah, so if I back up to June of 2014, I had an idea, but I was working a corporate job. And so I was comfortable. I had the paycheck coming in really frequently, and I was living a comfortable life here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Nothing to complain about really, except I was just uncomfortable at work. I didn't like doing the 9 to 5, and I knew I wanted to get out, but it's hard to say no when you have the comfort of that 9 to 5 and that paycheck coming in all the time. So I would say the mindset was the biggest barrier to get through. Was saying, okay, if I'm going to do this and go out on my own, move to China, I've got to be not comfortable, but I have to be confident in myself enough to make that move. And that was the hardest thing for me.
So why China? Why? Okay, you're in this 9 to 5. You've got a great paycheck. Everything is going well. You're in your early 20s. You have this idea. What was it about China? What was it about that idea that you were like, I want to start manufacturing products?
Well, China's where everything is happening at, right? But I had been on all of the internet marketing websites, and I was actually following Location 180, which is Sean Ogle's blog, and I saw the Inner China launch, and I thought, this is pretty interesting. I'd always been fascinated by China. Figured, it'd be cool to make products instead of writing or doing something to that effect. The standard internet marketing stuff. And so I said, I'd really like to make a physical product. I saw the Inner China launch, and I just went ahead and jumped in and did it, and became a part of the Inner China community. And I think that's really what got everything started with China, was joining that community and then seeing everybody else that was being successful in China and saying, okay, I could do that myself too. So.
Okay, before we get too far along, let's introduce the project that you're working on, the current status of the campaign, and kind of where it's at right now.
Yeah, so the project I'm working on is a watch. It's called Morveau. It's a watch made from reclaimed airplane aluminum, and I'm on Indiegogo doing a crowdfunding campaign right now. I'm 8 days in, and I've just reached $67,000 today. Actually, so
in 8 days.
8 days, yeah. So
what's it feel like?
It feels great. I'm top of the world right now. You see it happen to other people, and you're thinking, oh, that's a pipe dream. And then when it happens to you, it's like, this is great.
Exactly.
So.
Okay, so let's discuss the preparation, because that's where everyone's got to go through if they want to get to the point that you're at right now, right? So where did, this idea to launching this full-fledged business, what was that preparation process like?
Yeah, so it was a lot slower in the beginning from idea to actually doing something. It took about 6 months to get to the point where I actually, was ready to move to China. I had the idea first, but I had no artistic abilities whatsoever. So I had to go on Upwork and find somebody that could do the designs for me. So we went back and forth for a couple months until I was happy with what I had. Then I had him take those designs and put it into engineering drawings that I could take to the factory. So once I had all of that, then it was kind of like I hit a roadblock. I can't really go any further now. I have to actually go find a factory. And that's when it became time to make that decision. And this kind of all came to a head in December of 2014. It was like, okay, I've got to make the decision to move to China. And since my job is not going to let me, do part-time working for them and part-time doing my own thing, I'm going to have to quit. And so that all happened in March. I quit in February, moved to China in March, and then that's when I found the factory, and everything started rolling from there.
So you got all the way from your idea to working your way, your personal way through the design process, outsourcing the design, and getting all the engineering drawings mocked up while still having a job.
Yeah, that's right. I was moonlighting everything. The guy I hired was in Pakistan, so it kind of worked out that the timing could work. While in my evenings, he was working on what we were talking about.
So how many resources did it, money wise, to get to the point of where you had an idea that you were ready to get a sample made?
Yeah, it cost me all in $500 for everything. Yeah.
Wait, all the way up to the Kickstarter launch?
No.
Or Indiegogo launch?
No.
Okay,
Not all the
so
way up to the
okay,
yeah,
okay,
all the way
so
up to the point where I could get a sample made. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so you made the decision to move to China to try and find a factory. How did you kind of make that move? Was it really intimidating? Where'd you stay? What was that process like?
Yeah. So being a part of Inner China was a huge relief in making that decision to move, because there was people that were already there. There were people that were making the decision to go, and then there's people that are still kind of working it out. So everybody along the way, and so I could ask questions that people had been there, done that. They could provide their input, and even better, when I said, I'm coming to China, I'm finally making the move. Everybody was super supportive, but Nick, who one of the founders, right, said, hey, come stay at my place in Hong Kong as you're transitioning. And so I stayed at his place in Hong Kong for a week and a half. And then I finally moved into Shenzhen, which is where my factory was. And when I went over there, there was another member who had just moved to China as well. And we ended up getting an apartment together. So we were splitting rent because we were both on the bootstrap budget, And so we split rent and worked side by side every day and just kind of encouraged each other. So that's been a huge push too.
Okay, great. So let's get back a little bit to focus on your campaign. What did you have to work through product wise, and what did you have to work through kind of campaign and marketing wise to get to your launch?
Yeah, product wise, I would say after the original kind of this is what I want, and here's exactly what I need to make the watch that I want. After that, it was just following up and making sure that they were keeping on track, which is kind of annoying sometimes because they're not always doing things as quickly as you want them to, and then when they do come in, it's like some sort of variation of what you asked for that's not even close to what you actually want, and so you have to go back and say, can we change this, and this, and so it was just kind of always being there, providing that oversight, and then especially when things weren't coming through, being able to show up at the factory. And this is something that you told me, Tim, was just go there and just sit down and be like, hey, where's my product at? So I did that.
Yeah.
I remember we chatting my factory the day before and saying, hey, I'm going to be at the factory tomorrow, and they were like, wait, why are you coming? you're not scheduled. And then I just showed up, and amazingly everything I needed was there. So
I mean, you realize this, this being your first product, and we've realized it over the past few years. You learn how to be super specific about the things that you're going to need, and really having the foresight of what can happen with the product or what's going to potentially slow my whole product launch process down. Let me get ahead of that, right? So you kind of learn how to interact with the factories and learn, okay, they're probably going to mess this up. So I'm really going to give my instructions clear on what needs to happen through that process.
Yeah.
So their mistakes don't lead to me getting super delayed.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's a total learning process.
That is something I've been learning. I think I could have probably cut off 30 days had I been a little bit more experienced in it. So second time around is going to be quicker.
Great. So let's focus on actually building up to the campaign, right? The campaign page, the marketing, and really kind of trying to drum up excitement around your project.
Yeah, so building the email list was like from day one the biggest thing to do, and because once you've got that email list, you can activate those people who have pre-signed up, saying they raised their hand. They said, "Hey, I'm interested in your product. I haven't even seen anything yet, but that could be just because I like you, or because I like the idea, or for a number of reasons. But those are the hottest leads that you have, is ones that are signing up before they even see a product or a promise of a product. And so, it was like, how am I going to capture those emails? So I put together a landing page, used something called Instapage. You've probably heard of lead pages or something to that effect. It's all the same thing. Instapage just kind of worked for my price range better. And so I ended up throwing a quick landing page together and, connecting that with a MailChimp account that's free, and just started collecting emails first through friends and family. And then after that, it was just building the social media following and then reaching out to people that might be interested in what I'm offering. And that was the hardest thing across the entire time. But I remember probably 2 months in, I'm talking to Tim and I'm like, Tim, I'm talking to you, I can't get any emails, right? And you're like, why? What's going on? And then you provided this input like, bring people into the design process. And the moment that I did that, I was able to capture all these new email leads. I was just asking, hey, what do you guys think about this? What do you think about this tweak? What color hands would you like? What color bands would you like? What options are you looking for? And the moment that people felt like they had a stake in the company and the business and in the watch, they were much more intrigued to give their email and provide feedback.
So this whole process that you just kind of talked about is a major drop-off for most entrepreneurs that are interested in building physical products or any business, right? Mm-hmm. When it comes to the marketing and the sales, basically that is your business, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah.
We teach you how to build a product and all that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, you still got to go out and sell it. And so can you talk about kind of that process where you were able to kind of get over that hump and go, oh, okay, I'm figuring this out. Mm-hmm. And it led to, how much did you do on your first emails that you built up towards your campaign? How much did that lead to in sales?
Yeah, the first day I had $12,000.
Okay, so that got you off on the right foot, right?
Yeah.
And $12,000 in your first day of business is ridiculous, especially since you haven't even done a run of your initial order.
Right.
And so can you kind of talk about that process of so many people drop off during this process and how you kind of pushed through and it led to such a initial success?
Yeah, so once I started seeing that people were interested in the development of the watch, I started basically spending all my evenings, because I'm 12 hours ahead in China, all of my evenings Facebooking my friends and family. And so that one-on-one interaction was really what led to the growth of the list. I don't think I would have had any list at all had I not gone and just individually messaged everybody and chatted with everybody. And so that led to the successful launch on day one, because all of those people that had bought in by that point, which I think I had a really small list, it was like 211 people. And when I used that list and activated them on day one, over 65% of those people ended up giving, because they were just so bought into the product at that point. So.
Yeah, they became a part of what you were trying to build, right? And that's really what we try to teach to people. So, okay, we're up to the launch. You have an insane first day. You've got to be freaking out. You've put all this work in.
Yeah.
Looking back at your job, and exactly, you're looking back. Less than 6 months, or about 6 months ago, you were still in your job, and now you're here. What does it feel like? And what is one piece of advice that you would give to someone that's kind of back, 6 to 7 months in your position, to really get to where you are now?
Yeah. So I think the biggest piece of advice is to get involved with people that are doing the same thing. I felt so isolated in my group at work 6 months ago, or I guess 8 months ago. It's that, hey, I want to quit my job. I want to be an entrepreneur. And they're like, you're crazy, man. Like, why? You're too young for that. Why would you want to do that? That's something that you do later in life, and just telling me all these excuses. My friends, people that really, appreciate me, love me, right? And they're telling me you shouldn't do that. And so I felt so isolated in this desire. And then I get in this group of people that are all doing the same thing. And those people are all pushing me forward, saying like, when are you going to finally quit your job? I remember having conversations with Nick, and he's like, why haven't you quit yet? Why haven't you moved to China? I'm like, hold on, man, I got to get prepped. But
it can be scary.
Yeah. And that's another thing, is that when you do feel the fear of moving to a foreign country and starting a business, that community that's been there and done that, they can show you how to do it the right way so that it's easier and a lot more comforting. So
you were all scared and you had to go through that whole process, but what does it feel like now?
Just great, man. I can't wait to get back to China. I'm in Charlotte right now running the campaign, but I can't wait to get back and yeah, I love being in China. So yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was funny when we were talking about recording this call. We're like, hey, what can we record that's going to be the most helpful for people that were in his position? And when it really comes down to it, we're like, well, let's walk him through his journey and then talk about how he got to where he was, right?
Mm-hmm.
And guys, when it comes down to it, when you're trying to do something that you've never done before, surrounding yourself with people that can teach you how to do it and that have already done what you're trying to do is the path of least resistance. And that's what he has discovered. And that's what we're building with Inner China, a community that can help each other really build physical product businesses. And we like to say explosive physical product businesses because, hey, he sold almost $70,000 in 8 days. So, Luke, thanks for coming on today. Do you have anything else that you want to share for people that are listening?
Yeah, some of my friends are like just blown away by the fact that this has actually been a success, and they're saying like, "What did you do?" And I said, "I just know how to take instructions well," and I attribute pretty much every bit of success to listening to people that have done it well and just repeating what they did.
Exactly.
So I would say just do the same, and you'll be successful too. So.
All right, thanks, man. Well, you've got a long campaign. You are nowhere near done, so I'm excited to see the rest of your journey, man. I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Take it easy.